Multitasking is not my forte, so clicker and microphone might be challenging, but what am I saying? Oh my God, not a good start. So it's really, really good to be here, and I feel really, really lucky to be among so many amazing women and one amazing co-art. I founded OHUDDLE, and the business's sole purpose is to help entrepreneurs, to make life easier for entrepreneurs in the first couple of years, when life is actually really tough and you have no idea what you're doing. So one quote, I spend a lot of time talking to people about what success is, I was talking to entrepreneurs about how to find success and what that really means. And so a quote I really, really like is by Thomas Edison. I'm sure you've seen it before, where he describes genius as 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And I think that's really inspiring, and he's probably mostly right, but I'd like to remix that recipe for you. And so I have a bit of a twist on it, and I think success, the kind of success that he describes, that genius where you're really making an impact on society or on industries or on people's lives, that kind of success is really the result of a whole lot of perseverance and just a little bit of crazy. And so I don't mean the type of crazy where you're shipped off and we never see you again, but the type of crazy that's characterized by a seemingly irrational faith that things are just going to work out. A deep understanding between yourself and the universe that while you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know that you get there eventually. It's a leap. And so the perspiration part, the result of an insane amount of work, often accompanied by excessive physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. Hands up if you're an entrepreneur. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Yeah. And so I think that's normal. I think that's totally normal. And I think too often, I'm blanking here. I think too often we make excuses. You might be sitting here thinking that hard work alone just doesn't lead to great results. And that might be true. You definitely have to be strategic, and what you do matters a lot more than how much you do. But I think the lie that everybody tells themselves is that they can't do it. And you're not going to be the next Uber or the next Airbnb because they had more money or more experience or a better team and they came from the Valley and you're just in Auckland. And I just think that's bullshit. I think that you don't need an amazing team, and you don't need a whole bunch of money, and you don't need connections, and you certainly don't need experience. I think I'd like to introduce you to nine incredibly successful humans that have overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Richard Branson has struggled with dyslexia for his whole life and yet remains the fourth richest person in the UK. Stephen Hawking, he was diagnosed with ALS at the age of 21, which is a neurodegenerative disease, yet has gone on to make profound contributions to the study of theoretical physics. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 9 different publishers with Harry Potter before it went on to rake in $25 billion for the series. Elizabeth Gilbert, in the same way, was rejected for 7 years with Eat, Pray, Love before it spent 199 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list. Jim Carrey used to be homeless. He lived in a van at the age of 15. Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was 4. Walt Disney was actually fired from his first job for not being creative enough. Ironically. Tracy D'annunzio, probably a lesser-known one, but one of my absolute favorites. She's an entrepreneur that runs a company called Tracy. She was born with spina bifida, which meant a ton of surgeries and a lot of pain when in her younger years. She started a tech company with no technical experience, no team, and no money. And she's now raised over $40 million in venture capital from entrepreneurs like Richard Branson and John Doerr. And then there's Oprah. So most of you have probably heard of Oprah, but might not know her story. So Oprah grew up in a small town, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is like nowhere USA. She was, sorry. Hope you're not from there. Would that make it better? So Oprah had a bit of a different story, I'm sure, to yours. She was born into poverty. She was regularly beaten from a very young age, and at the age of 9, she was actually raped. From the ages of 10 to 14, she was molested by a family member, and she gave birth to a baby boy when she was 14, who later died. Oprah is now worth $2.9 billion. So I don't know the differences between you and Oprah, and I can't sit here and tell you them. You have different lives and different stories, but I can ask you this. If she could, what makes you think you can't? It's your ability to persevere, not when it's easy, but when it's tough, that defines the impact you make. And so I think that leap, that 1% crazy I mentioned, the irrational belief philosophy, you're looking at a girl who studied science for 4 years and then followed that up with an MBA in finance. So math and logic and numbers and scientific fact, like that was my life. And now I'm standing here telling you to believe in something that you can't see or feel or reason or ration. And I just think that there are some things in life that you can't really explain. And I think that's important. Like when you're running a marathon, you can't necessarily see the end or understand all the obstacles you're going to run into or predict how you're going to overcome them. But you know that you're going to get to the finish line, and I think that's really important, and I think that's something that's really common throughout life. So I don't know if for you it's God or it's Buddha or it's the universe, or maybe it's just positive energy, or maybe it's none of those things. But I think that belief in yourself and in your ability to achieve your goal, that belief when all the odds are against you, especially when all the odds are against you, I think that belief, like that 1% crazy, that's necessary. And so I have spent a lot of time thinking about what separates those who make it from those who don't. I find that question really, really interesting, and I don't have the answer for you. But I can tell you this. If you are willing to work harder than 99% of people out there, and you have a borderline crazy belief that you're going to make something happen, you will.